Welcome to the Authenticity Calling podcast, where we get raw, real, unedited, unfiltered, unscripted, unscheduled, authentically ourselves. So, this is my beautiful friend and spirit tribe, Amanda Mocci. Did I pronounce that correct?
You
Beautiful.
did perfectly.
Thank you. Do you mind just introducing yourself, letting us know where you are coming from, where you're calling in from, your path, your purpose, your passion, your career, whatever feels alive and aligned for you to share? Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be great.
100%.
Thanks.
My name is Amanda Mocci, and I am a creative director and portrait illustrator. I live in Montreal, Canada. And I actually started this whole journey about 15 years ago now. So I really am called primarily towards storytelling. I would say that the best way to like label what I do is like I just love helping people tell their story. So everything I do has purpose. I don't just like doing something because it looks pretty. I always want to kind of gravitate towards like what is their story? What are they trying to tell? What are they trying to put out into the world? And really at the root of it, it's I would say like helping people. And yeah, and I love doing that. So anytime there's like a really great connection with someone, I know that they're going to be a great client, they're going to turn into a great friend. And because I'm a visual storyteller, if I can help them kind of put their story into visuals, I feel like I did my job. So yeah, that in a nutshell, that's kind of what I do.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And to me, in the space that we're in right now, there are so many entrepreneurs in the world really doing their thing, dialing into their passion and their purpose. The way that I coach is that P3 alchemy mastery method for me is aligning ourselves with our passions, number one, because it's easy to tell the energy of where our passions lie versus what we do kind of as a hobby.
Mhm.
And then your purpose kind of just aligns with that. And it sounds like it's something like the ikigai, something you're really good at, the world needs, you can get paid for, and that it just comes naturally to you. And so I love that you have found this place for yourself where you can be in service, like really, truly, deeply serve. And I can just see so much coming out of people being able to find their story and see their story visually. And I mean, for me, I think for branding, that alignment, that is authenticity, put in a picture, put in branding, put in all of it. That to me magnetizes everyone that's meant to be in our world.
Mhm.
So when you say
Yeah.
that, I'm like, yes, yes, there's so many people that are going to want to like, yeah, call you and get your services. And yeah, I would love to know just a little bit more from the strategic side. How do you work with clients, if you don't mind sharing that? Because I feel like there will be a lot of listeners that are probably pretty curious. I think a lot of people with their branding, they kind of hire someone and they give them an idea and they run with the idea based on their own story. I think a lot of branding happens based on the professional that's helping with the branding, their projections of who they are versus who the client is. So I really love that you dive into, I want to get to know my client. Like I want to know your story. And so how deep, like, and maybe we can give an example if you don't mind even asking me some of the things that you would ask your clients and just to exemplify, like, how would you get to know someone? I'm just so curious about that process.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. So the way it starts, it's kind of different for every client. So it depends on who I'm working with. Let's say if I am working with a coach, yeah, we are going to dive into kind of like a discovery call at first. So the first touch point is someone either contacting me or me having a good connection with someone and then contacting them. Let's say it could be on social, it could be via LinkedIn, whatnot. And we kind of start like it could be like a 15-minute to half an hour call.
Mhm.
I see how good of a fit we are because obviously not everyone is a good fit, not even with me, like not even
Totally.
with them, but usually I have to say it is always a good fit. I feel like I'm really good at gauging like, okay, they want to help people. So like I feel like we're
Yeah.
gonna work super well together.
Mm.
And initially we dive into kind of a few questions like basically I want to know their purpose, why they started this in the first place. And then we dive into actual goals. So I do want to know like business goals, what they envision in the next like year, in the next 3 years, the next 5 years, because my goal as a brand identity designer is really to help them grow, right? So their strength, let's say, is in coaching, but their strength might not be in like an actual visual storytelling aspect. So once I understand the goals clearly, then I say, okay, I can definitely help you. Once they're happy with that, you know, they're happy with, let's say, a package that I present to them, then we jump directly into strategy. So that would kind of be the next call. And strategy is very interesting because it starts from questions like, what's your favorite thing to do on the weekend? You know, what is like the most beautiful place you'd love to visit? And then really going deeply rooted into like who they are as a person, what they did when they were kids, what were the kind of hobbies that they would do as a child and now. So like these are things that show up in your story in branding, essentially. And it sounds really strange, but like I will pick up on those stories and then I can put colors to them. I can put graphics, I can put shapes. And usually when clients will see this, like maybe not instantly, but most of the time they're like, oh wow, I feel like a really big connection with this. Almost like you took the story from what I said and you placed it into visuals.
That's it.
That's really my goal. It's almost like listening to music and creating a painting from it.
Oof.
It works a little bit like that. I am very in tune with like listening to something and then trying to put shapes and colors to it. I feel like I have to say like that's probably one of my strengths. It's probably one of the things I love doing the most. And it's actually a little bit of coaching as well. So in
Yes.
a really interesting way, it's like coaching the coach, right?
Yes.
I'll try and ask the really deep questions which they might have not asked themselves. You know, it's in a way like journaling out loud, where they start to really discover things about themselves, and maybe the thing that they wanted to be represented by is actually like is not the thing that's going to be the final piece.
The one that serves them the most. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love
Yeah.
that. Oh my goodness, so much of what you said. So first, there's so much to unpack there, and I just want to share the truth chills. I call them the truth chills. When someone speaks their truth from their essence, from that place of alignment, that's like, boom, that's your purpose, and it just lands. Like I know it's gonna land to whoever's listening. But in my body, I just felt this full body yes to want to work with you. I know for sure we're meant to work together. That's like a hands down. I think I knew that from the beginning. But number two, I think it's really powerful. What came through for me is I'm so proud of you. So I don't know if there's someone in your life that's just sending that message, but it's like, I'm so, so proud of you that you're doing the thing, that you're speaking your truth, that you're living your essence. And it's just so, yeah, just so, so beautiful. And oh, that was a big one. So yeah, I want to honor you so much for finding clients that are in integrity. And we use these terms a lot in coaching. So it's funny that you say you're coaching the coaches, but we all need a coach. Whether you're like, top of the line coach. If there's a coach out there and they tell me they don't have a coach, I don't trust that. We
Yeah.
all need a coach. Right? It's like if you
Yeah.
want
Or
to be
like
professional.
psychology.
Yeah, totally. If you
Yeah.
want to be a professional athlete, what do? You find a coach that's good in that space, that's been a professional athlete before, right? If you want to be a human actualized in your truth, finding flow state, what do? You find a coach that's done that, right? It's a natural thing, and we can't see ourselves. So I just really love and appreciate what you do, and the gift that you provide at the end of that visual representation of who the person is in their whole integrity, and you go deep down to the core. You're like, okay, I see that you like beaches and like you like triangles, but maybe that doesn't really work for you. And I just, yeah, that trust in your source and in your truth, that to me is absolutely everything. And that's what we mean in the coaching world when we talk about alignment and integrity, working with people who want to be good human beings, like they want to serve the world. That to me is everything. Like that is so, so spirit tribe. That's you feel spirit tribe, and then you get to hear the understanding and the explanation as to why. And that really just lands for me. And yeah, just so grateful that for the way you show up in the world and the way that you serve is so, so powerful. So yeah, I love that. And the other thing, the brand identity designer, I love the title. It's so powerful to be I'm gonna hire a brand identity designer. Like that's it.
I
Um,
love that. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, it's everything. So I'm so curious if you have any projects that you're like the most proud of, or something that comes up for you that you kind of like, those are my favorite projects. What is there something like that that you've done either recently or maybe not so
Hmm.
recently?
Yeah, okay. That's a great question. I was literally thinking about this today, and funny enough, so I love all my client work, absolutely love it. But I often think about how all of that client work happened, and it actually happened through personal projects. So what happens is that when you're doing a personal project, you're actually like completely in line with like what you love doing. You put the most passion into it, the most effort. No one's watching. It's like dance without no
Mm.
one's watching kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's how I felt when I created these pieces. And when I made these pieces, I have probably got the most work because of them. So
Oof.
everyone will still say like, oh, I love that book that you created, or I love this painting that you made, or this logo that you created. And funny enough, all of them were not client work. They were just like, oh, I just did this for the last like month every night until like 3 in the morning. And, it was literally like flow state. Like I just couldn't stop working on it. And there's things that pop up 15 years later that people are still finding online. And I can't believe it. So it's almost like the investment that I put into these projects still pay off today. And I still feel like that's my best work. So yeah.
I love that. I honor and I just cherish that so much, because especially I think as women in our world, we self-neglect so much. And as women entrepreneurs or people in conscious leadership, I think a lot of times we tend to put ourselves last. So I just love that you're so aware that your best work is the work you've done for yourself. Like that is so powerful and juicy, and like that is everything that I do in this coaching space, is to try to convince people, believe me, when you put yourself first, it's all going to come. And so what you said about when I've prioritized my own projects, that's when I've had the most clients. And you said flow state, which is like, that's it. It is flow state. Sure, there's the masculine manifestation and there's the feminine magnetism and attraction and receiving, but that flow state is like it all just comes together and it's so juicy and it's just like you just get to show up. So I love that you shared that. Do you
Yeah.
mind sharing your perspective on the energetics? And I know you are such a visionary in terms of like seeing colors and shapes and the way that they kind of transmute through art. How would you, I don't know my question, but it's coming through is like, how would you explain that energetically? Like, what does that look like when somebody is coming from a place of not prioritizing themselves, not maybe their essence? Because I see that the work that you do is a lot of it is sort of that essence and that trusting what comes through for you. And then a lot of it is strategy as well. So yeah, I guess the question that's coming through is what are the energetics behind this self priority, and how does that serve us to prioritize ourselves or to work on our own projects and our passions and really give ourselves permission to dive into things for us versus for others or our career, or yeah,
Okay. I hope I answer this correctly.
there's no wrong answer.
I feel like this is a two-part thing. What's kind of coming up for me is there's two types of people. So I've dealt with clients, like I've worked with clients that were purely on the kind of on the clock, and it was more about the deliverable. And I noticed that the work didn't come through as truthfully as it should have come through.
Okay.
Because I was more about like you can't force creativity. It was like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm feeling it, but I'm like, I know that I have a deadline and stuff like that. So it probably was not the best work, or I was asking them a few questions, like again, about really connecting with themselves or like the actual project. and they kind of wanted to brush that over, like it wasn't important. And I would stress, like, this is actually important, even if it's for, let's say, a portrait in a magazine. Like, I want to know a bit more about this person that we're drawing, you know?
Mm.
So I think once it comes more surface level is when it can fall flat. But I noticed that when dealing with individuals, so like solopreneurs or like, you know, like you said, coaches, even, or even like yoga studios, right? It's a studio, but you have the individuals there. People are just way more connected and they're way more open. And then I noticed that I'm kind of like the, what's the word? I'm like the channel. It really feels like the channel, honestly. Like I'm channeling the visuals for them. So I always tell them, if you're not open, I can't do my job properly. Like I won't,
Yes.
basically I won't, it's like a psychologist, like whatever you hold back, they can't help you. So I am in a sense the visual psychologist
I love that.
of these individuals. So the more you let out, and you said trust previously, right? We were just mentioning that a few minutes ago. It is really trust because it's a very vulnerable thing.
That's it.
You know, you're sharing your journey with me, you're sharing like your childhood dreams with me. Like I always wanted to be this when I grew up, and great, share that with me, because then I can actually give you exactly what you need to see. So the channeling, the energy, it's like extremely important. Yeah. I don't know if that answers it, but
Totally, 100,000%. And what did I write down on my messy piece of paper? Micromanage, vulnerability, and surface. Why? Because vulnerability is at the heart of dropping in, is at the heart of opening the channel. And that's how I see it. And so I just love that between, and I trust everything that I write down the way I write it down, but between the micromanaging and being so surface level, which a lot of us are in our world, between all of that is the vulnerability. And I feel like that is the heart. That's the path to authenticity. It's like that is the way, is being open, being vulnerable. And so when you have a client who is in that space of micromanaging and they're kind of looking for that surface outcome, and you have the conversation and you say, listen, it's really important that we open up, and I want you to be vulnerable. Are there people that you turn away at that point where you see like they're not willing and you know you're not going to be able to be in integrity with what you provide, therefore you just say, you know what, I can't work with you? Or do you offer coaching, or how does that I'm just so curious. I'm like, this is not going in any direction. I'm just really curious.
No, I love this question so much because I had to think back and was like, I don't think I've ever turned anyone down mid-project. So the way it works is that I do have like, there's, you know, the 50% deposit that's non-refundable. And if something would go wrong, technically I can say, you know what, I don't think this is good, or I think maybe I'm not delivering what you need. We might not be able to continue this relationship. I always had that in the back of my mind in the sense that if something were to go wrong, I am technically allowed to do that. I've never done it though, because I try to learn from every experience. A challenge is always going to be hard. Like that's why it's called a challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I just want to just wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Wake up call, everybody, in case you didn't know. Success is only made through challenges, and challenges lead to learning, and learning leads to success. So if you're going to fail forward and allow that challenge to serve you. Thank you for that interruption. Yes. Go on, Amanda.
No, I love that because like a lot of people are really scared of that, right? And it is like it kind of vibrates inside you when you know you're in an uncomfortable state. It's like really not fun. And it's really not fun to be in that state. And I've been in that and I was like, oh my God, what do I say? I'm an introvert, okay? So like it could be hard for me to also be very honest sometimes. I am getting way better at it. I think after doing what I do, it's been 5 years that I work for myself now. So being also an entrepreneur and a creative, you have to be honest. And that's when you're going to get the best results for the client, is when you just honestly speak like your mind. But it is still difficult. So what I end up doing is when I have that micromanaging, I try and talk to them, and I really try to like lay the ground rules in the sense of like at the beginning, because this is a very good time to do it at the beginning. Set your boundaries in a very sweet, kind way. but just really mention that the only way that this can be a really good partnership is like if we're both honest, if we're both vulnerable. If ever you're uncomfortable about something, please let me know. So just setting up that safe space and feeling like they can come to me with anything they feel is like such a
Mm,
great, it's a great start to the relationship,
mm,
really.
yeah.
But I have not dropped anyone. No. I think what I've done was at the end of a project, if I felt like, oh, this was a little too rough for me, I would say I maybe like would turn down the next project if it comes up, and I would actually suggest someone else.
Yeah,
Because we're not all the perfect channels for everyone, right? Everyone needs
totally.
their own channel. So
Totally. Yeah. And
yeah.
every time we say no, I feel like I want to bring like that full permission slip to say no at this point, because it's like, and I hear that your process of onboarding is really it's really clean for you. Like, through that 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute discovery call, you get to feel, okay, is this aligned? Yes. Then yes, we're working together. Is this aligned? Yeah. Let me refer to someone that might be more aligned. I love that, because I believe that there's no such thing as competition. Because when we say no, if I know that something's out of alignment for me, and I know
Mhm.
that this person is going to be in alignment with someone else, to me, that is like the greatest good for all concerned. And I know with that door closed for me, 10 more will open that are for me. And I just love and I trust that so much, that the universe, God, Gaia, Mother Nature, all of it working together is conspiring when we're able to step into the truth of who we are. And I stand taller when I say this. We get to experience it all. We get to have it all. It's like that flow state just solidifies, and it just becomes this beautiful act of like giving and receiving and doing and being and magnetizing and manifesting. And it's just, oh, it's so juicy. I love it. I love
Yeah.
life.
I want to share something. I don't know if this
Yeah,
like
please.
this is me
Yeah.
being vulnerable, but like I had my first Reiki session ever. It was very interesting, and she mentioned something to me that really stuck with me. And she said that the more we're in tune with ourselves, the more people gravitate towards us for that specific thing. So if you're not, and it's like, oh yeah, that's so true. Like, you know what I mean? Like we know
Yes.
this, but we don't actually practice it.
Yeah.
So the more we try to be like someone else or something that we're not, we're just gonna like attract those people to us or those situations, those problems. And then after you're stuck with like this kind of identity crisis, we're like, oh my God, this is like not at all where I want to be right now. Oh, why is that? Well, it's because like I kind of channeled into this other person. And then it results in you not being happy, you not showing up as your authentic self, and kind of trying to start all that over again. So I don't know, it's really interesting. Like, but I feel like I've been trying to do that, especially since, now running my own business. And, like yourself, like how we met too, it's like, I feel like because I kind of put that out there,
Yeah.
so it's like, and you
100%.
came to me and I was like, oh, like right away in our 5 minute call, I was like, yeah, like we're so in line. So it's nice. And I just feel like it's important for a lot of people to know that, because some people are just very scared to show up as themselves.
Totally.
It feels
Totally.
so good, like when you actually do.
Oh, I love that. That is so powerful. And I thank you so much for sharing and trusting the vulnerability. And that was, yeah, that is everything. Honestly, the way that we were connected, it was through my team, but it's because I said, I want a team that's aligned. I want a team that's passionate, that's driven, and that knows who's my people, and they bring them to me. And that's exactly how it happened. And it was a screenshot, and it was like, Amanda Mocci. I was like, yes, let me reach out to her right away, because this is my spirit tribe. And it is exactly what you say. And my own coach said, don't hire a team until you reach this level of, or like whatever checkbox it was. And I just knew for myself, I'm hiring a team. I don't care what anybody says to me, I'm hiring a team and it's going to work. So
Yeah.
it's really trusting. I feel like there's a level of investment, whether it's like energetic investment, whether it's financial investment, if we
Mhm.
have a little bit of resistance, but a little bit of excitement, it's like that is the path of alignment. There
Mhm.
has to be some resistance because you're nervous. You want it to work. It's like you want it to go well. But the fact that the excitement is there is so much more powerful than that nervous resistance. And I feel like that's really the essence of who we are. And when we say yes to our truth, it's like that's where it gets so juicy, pushing not past that resistance, but recognizing that it's just supposed to catapult and create the momentum for everything else that's to come. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, it's such a godsend. Like, it's such a gift. Yeah. Oh, so grateful for you for sharing that. So that brings me to this question of like, they talk, everyone always tells you, oh, what's your niche? What's your niche? What's your niche? And so for the coaches that are listening out there, a lot of what we do in the business section in the program that I'm in, the Institute for Coaching Mastery by Alyssa Nobrega, we learn in the marketing part that if you're doing online marketing, it's obviously really important to have a niche so that you have a message so that you can speak. But then on the offline market, we don't really, a lot of people don't niche. They kind of just trust who comes to them, just like you trust who comes through these different channels for you to be a channel for them. But where do you find niching in the work that you do? Do you ask people about their niche? Is that something that's really prevalent for you? Or do you, because I hear that you ask about the story, which is really the authenticity and the truth of who they are versus what they think they're here to do, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, actually. It is very important to have a niche. I don't, I'm not tied to it though. And I
Mhm.
love what you said that like it's kind of like whatever you put out there. And if they feel like as a coach, they feel like they need to say this message because it feels right, then the right people will find them. So
Mm.
in a way, the niche is you. Like it's
Yeah.
like the soul niche is, So then whatever they speak and this truth that they speak, those people will just kind of follow them and yeah, and feel like, oh, like I've met coaches where I'm like, oh, I'm not really in line with them because either they're like super businessy, like really go get, like that's not my style, right? So I won't gravitate towards that. But I feel like they're also speaking what they want, they're speaking their truth, and they're attracting the people that are in line with them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my niche, I would say like it's a bit vague and I should probably micro niche, but I'm also gonna be very honest is that sometimes I'm not even sure who I want to work with. I
Yeah.
just kind of want to get the right, I want to be around the right people. I want to be around the people that feel good with me as well.
Yes.
So that can have a wide range of
Yeah.
like industries, right? I think as long as there's like purpose driven, high values, like, they really know what they want, they know what their goals are, and really like anything that is going to make the future like a better place.
Oh,
I'm super pro environment, sustainability. So sustainability is like a big thing for me. So like if I deal with product and kind of like product companies, I want to make sure that they're working towards some kind of a sustainable future.
beautiful.
Yeah, because if they're not, then that's probably going to be the kicker, right? I'm like,
Yes.
it's not, if you're dealing with a lot of plastic and anything that can damage the environment, like oil companies, then we're definitely not a good fit.
Sorry, not my niche. Next.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's an
not in a
easy
rude
one.
way, but
Right.
like, you know what I mean?
No, but
But yeah,
it's so important. Sorry to interrupt. It's so important to support what you believe in and that piece of integrity. To me,
yeah,
I feel like that is your niche. Like people who are in integrity with the things that you're, like you said, values are so important. The fact that you care about the environment, the fact that like you're not going to put your name on something. You don't want your craft to be put on something that you don't believe in. So that to me is so in integrity. Like you won't take millions to do something that will further propagate something that you don't believe in. And to me, that is everything. That's so in integrity. And I love that. Like I just that's authenticity to me. That is everything. It's yeah, being in alignment with our truth and mm. So good. My heart is like so full, so happy right now.
That's amazing. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like I wanted to add something. It's kind of like a relationship where we feel like, oh, like this is a really nice person, so that means I should be with them. Like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Like it's like these are two really nice people, but they should just not date.
Not be together.
So, and it's okay to turn down work. And I
Yeah.
think that's what people are afraid of too. Is like, and even as like I'm sure in coaching, right? You probably felt like I'm probably not in line with this person. But like maybe I should take on this work because I need the money kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I find when it comes from a
Totally.
place like that, it's
Yeah.
definitely not in line and you're not going to give like your best to that person.
Totally.
And yeah, so that's the thing is like we're often scared also just to turn things down if they're
Absolutely.
not in line with us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That to me comes to like people pleasing and scarcity mindset. So it's like when you come from that place of there's not enough people in the world to serve and I have to serve every single person, it's like, wait a second. I don't know how many billions of people there are in the world, but like you definitely don't have to serve every single person. Let me just remind you all right now. If you're hearing this and you have this moment of this is your calling to your integrity and your alignment, if you are feeling pressured to make a decision to work with somebody based on not being able to say no, so the people pleasing and wanting to serve everyone that's out of alignment or out of integrity, today I want to give you full permission and I invite you to give yourself full permission to say no to the things that are not aligned and to the opportunities in your world that would be better fit for someone else. Because it's true that if you say no, it is for the greatest good of all concerned. And it starts with your own intuition. You already know that this is not your person to work with. Like it's so clear. We all know.
100%.
Yeah, and so that brings me to my last question about trusting that this is your path and your calling. How did you get to this place? Because it's very clear to me. Obviously, you're fully embodied and like your purpose driven, your passion and what you do in the world and how you show up, you're doing your thing, right? And so yeah, like not maybe not so much the story of how you got there, but how did you know? Like what was that moment, that clarifying moment where it just clicked and you were like, this is mine, like this is me fully embodied.
Oh wow. Um, it's a bit of a story. I'm
Go
gonna try to
ahead.
tell it
Yeah.
really fast.
No, don't. We have time.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot is more like it, but
Um,
no, please take your time and tell the story. I love storytelling and obviously you're
yeah.
an amazing storyteller, so please.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to feel it too because there's a few situations. I just kind of dove into it in school. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. First year into design school, and I was like, oh, this is fun, you know, and then my brother passed away. So a
Mm.
year into my not university, sorry, my siege. I don't know how it is in the States. It's like this, or no, wait, you're in Canada.
Canada, Vancouver,
So
yeah.
CEGEP college, I guess it would be like right after high school, right?
Mm.
So I'm 1 year in, I'm 18. Um, my brother was 30
Wow.
and he had a very like free spirit, very outgoing, complete opposite of me. Um, I everything changed, right? So like I was suddenly like almost like not caring what I was doing in school. I have to admit, like I got in and I wasn't really like caring about the grades I did. I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do, so let me just kind of do this.
Mhm.
And that really it made me grow up like really fast.
Mm.
And I realized that, you know, him kind of not being here anymore at 30 years old, like what were the things that he probably wanted to do in life or that he wouldn't be able to do. So I really pulled up my pants and I said, I'm going to work super hard at this because like I'm here still and I'm breathing, I'm living, and like how can I honor his memory? And he was super proud of me. Like he was always saying, sis, like you draw so well or you paint so well. And it's really the reason why I started painting. So like I was completely nervous about even trying to paint or draw a portrait. And I would always say, no, I can't. It's too hard. It's a challenge, right? And to get over, not, we don't really get over grief, but like to help me through the grieving process, I literally like sat down 15 hours a day and I would just draw and I would just pour like all of this energy, like from what I was feeling into art, into school. It probably was not the healthiest thing now that I look back, because I had like zero social life. I would tell my friends, like, no, I don't want to go out. I actually just want to paint and draw. And I did that for 2 years. And then I ended up coming out of that with like this fast track training, trained myself really how to paint and draw. That I condensed almost like 10 years of learning into 2 years. And it really gave me this new perspective in life where I was like, life, and the cliche is like, life is short. And like, what are we going to do with this, like this morning that we have? Are we just going to wake up and kind of like roll out of bed and say, oh, okay. And I just chose not to do that.
Yeah.
And so I ended up really, actually, I would say falling in love with what I do and trying to, yeah, and to tell stories for other people. So that's like a very condensed version of actually why I'm happy that it shows, I guess, that I love doing this, because I really feel like I do love doing this. But I have to thank my brother for it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And in such a beautiful, loving memory with everything that you create, he lives on. Truly, his spirit lives on with everything that comes through you, is the way that that comes through for me. That's the message. And yeah, through the channel. And he's so proud of you, is what I've heard a couple of times already and shared. But yeah, I think that's yeah, it's just, thank you for sharing that. Such a gift. And that is the heart and the soul of who we are, is in our vulnerability. And it's so powerful when, you know what, sometimes we say no to the quote unquote healthy things, but that's it. It's that challenge of facing it in a way that's most aligned for you, right? It's not on any other person's, you know, right to tell us what's right and what's wrong. Sure, we have some certain standards in science and in healthcare about how we should be living our lives. And yes, I mean, movement is medicine. And, you know, like there's so many things that we can do to maintain our mental health. And to me personally, I've been through a deep, dark, like soul losing, refinding depression that to me, it was unexpected to go here, but to me, it was really that process of starting fresh and like having that deep rest. To me, depression is that need for us to rest our physical body, for our spirit to kind of be able to rekindle the fire, and our soul to come back into our body and reestablish itself. And through that deep rest, if we're not judging it as bad, and if we're not constantly trying to like work against it, to give the medication to, like, yes, okay, I know we're supposed to be functioning members of our society and all the things, but if we were able to just honor our need for deep rest, and if we had the community and the support and the love, and obviously food is so important because, you know, we need to eat to for our bodies to replenish itself, but there's so much actually healing. And now we're learning about fasting, intermittent fasting, and like how it's actually so much better, and it kills cancer cells and it gets rid of all the debris in our body. And like there, I feel like the mind, body, spirit, when we come together and we just trust it, it is so wise. And it's like, so like we store hormones in our fat cells, so when we do the resting, the intermittent fasting, which is part of depression really, when we do that part, and when we trust it and when we honor it, it allows that energy to free itself up. It allows those hormones that are stuck, those energy points that are still, to actually release, and we're able to recreate ourselves. So that's just so interesting to me. And I mean, like I've said that I'm not going to talk about health or mental health, all these things on the podcast, but it's just coming through. So I'm trusting it, that it's so powerful to be in our own truth and to be able to come full circle and just to give ourselves that full permission. And I just want to honor you so much for trusting that that is what you needed, and you gave yourself that. You gave yourself 10 years back, essentially, right?
Yeah. It's like, I think we question things too much. We compare too much. Yeah, but this is not normal. And this is, maybe I should do, like, the word should not be.
We should all over ourselves. We talked about this last
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, especially today with like a social media and stuff, we're constantly comparing ourselves. But if you look at 15 years ago, we were just comparing ourselves to ourselves, and or like our family, or like friends that we had around us, but it was a healthy comparison. It's like not competitive, or like I should be here, I should have this by 30, I should, you know what I mean? It's like a scary place to be. And then you stop growing, really, like you stop failing forward.
Failing forward, that's it. Yeah.
Extremely good for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I love our conversation. This was so juicy. So much more. And I'm just gonna finish that actually with the not knowing. There's so much beauty in the unknown. There's no way that this could have ever been scripted to deliver so much juicy insights, so much powerful potentiality, this space of what's possible in the unknown, in saying no, in that alignment, in vulnerability, in the conscious leadership, in integrity, in alignment, just all of the things that you bring into the world as you, as Amanda. Is it Mocci?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Mocci.
I feel like you pronounce it differently. Amanda Mocci, the way that you show up in the world, it just brings into alignment. That's what I hear and I see, and I'm so grateful for you. So Spirit Tribe, 100,000%. And I want to honor you. And how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you? If they feel called, and I know there's going to be people that hear this and feel called, how can they get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's my website is probably the best place to go, because then once you're there, there's a lot of different links. There's my social links, there's my email there. So it's just www.amandamocci.com. That's it.
Beautiful. And it's AMANDAMOCCI.com. So for those of you that are listening and you want to write it down later, that's okay. We've got you. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be all over the place. It'll be on social media. But just in case you want to go to it right now, amandamocci.com. So thank you so much. Any last words for our listeners? Any thoughts? Any intuitive downloads, calling forwards? I love callings. So for me, I always love to ask my guests on the podcast, do you want to call anyone that's listening forward? Is there anything that you want to share? Yeah.
Anything that comes up for me that I'd want to share?
Or anything that you call them forward to.
Yeah, I don't know, something that's coming up for me is, and something I always had a hard time doing, so I try to tell people to do this a lot, is really just, the answer, you just have to listen to your gut more. And for me, it's like my mantra. So yeah.
Love that. That is it. Oh, that's the message that's been coming through all week. And I'm so happy it came through you. 100%. We all know our truth. We just got to trust it. Love it. Oh, such a beautiful gift. Podcasting with you today, speaking with you, getting to know you a little more. And yeah, just sharing heart to heart, genuine, conscious conversations that are just streaming through. So beautiful. Thank you for your time today.
And thank you to you for having me. I truly appreciate this, like just giving me a platform to also like to speak my story and to have this amazing conversation. It's really a gift. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Your story is so beautiful. And I mean, everybody that's listening, we all have a story, and all of our stories are so honorable, so beautiful, and they're so unique to us that this is just to me, even as a gift, I feel like this would be such a beautiful gift to gift someone, even if they're not using it for marketing, like just to be able to tell their story and see it in a piece of art. That to me is that's everything. So yeah, I see so much space for just your craft and your art and your calling to be actualized. And yeah, I love you. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for showing up as you are. Oh, you're such a gift.
Thank you so much. You're so
Yeah,
sweet.
thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye.